Alright, hello math fans. Alright, so today what we're going to do is we're going to be doing some application problems with keeping in mind we've been working on the quadratic chapter. Alright, and the quadratic chapter is we got x squareds, and just kind of keep that in mind when we do these problems here. Alright, so let's start out with problem number 1. Okay, so first of all, if you look at the directions, it says read each problem carefully, identify a variable, write a quadratic equation to solve the problem, be sure to answer the questions in each problem, draw a picture if it helps. Okay, so if it doesn't really have any, I don't know, it doesn't say like a rectangle, it doesn't say, it just says find two numbers. You don't even have to really define the variables. That's fine, but you have to come up with the equation here. So let's look at some keywords here. First of all, it says product. You guys need to remember product equals multiplication. Okay, that's important. So the product of two positive numbers, so x times y equals 96. One number, so we're going to say x is, that's equals, 2 less than 3 times the other. So the one number is 2 less than 3 times the other. So 3 times, it's 2 less than 3 times the other. So remember guys, you always put your variable first because, oops, this would be 3y, sorry. Okay, you should always do this where the number you're always either adding to or subtracting to or whatever. Do that first, because what happens is, this is a common mistake. People do, oh, one number is 2 less than 3 times the other. Okay, that's really bad. You'll get the wrong answer because that's saying not 2 less than 3y, it's saying 3y less than 2. Completely wrong. So if you always put the variable first, you will be more successful. Alright? Alright, anyway, it's substitution. You guys remember this from systems. So you substitute that in there, and so we get x, instead of x, we write 3y minus 2 times y. Right? Because the y is still there. Times y equals 96. Okay? That's important to just understand that basic. Now it's like kind of like the old days, but what we need to do is let's put that y in the front. I always like to put the y in front because you guys are more used to that. So y times 3y is 3y squared. Alright, and then negative 2 times y is negative 2y equals 96. Now you guys should recognize right away that you got to move everything over to one side because we have that 3y squared. So I'm going to subtract 96 from both sides. And I wind up getting 3y squared minus 2y minus 96 equals 0. Okay? This is going to be a little more complicated to solve this, but you just got to work at it. Okay? And if you don't know how to solve this, you could always use quadratic formula to figure out the value of y. So in this case here, we're going to factor 3y is going to be, or 3y squared is 3y and y. 96, that's the tough one. Actually, you can turn out to be plus 16 and minus 6. Again, if you didn't know how to do that, it's x equals opposite of b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. You get the right answer. Okay? So if I solve this, 3y plus 16 equals 0. Subtract 16, so 3y equals negative 16. Divide by 3. So y equals negative 16 thirds. And this one's y minus 6 equals 0. So y equals, add 6 to both sides, y equals positive 6. So I got two answers here. Look what the problem says. Find the product of two positive numbers. So this one's out of here, man. It's not even one part of the answer. It's nasty. It's a fraction. It's negative. Very bad. So here it is, man. Y equals 6. That's one of your answers. How do you find x? You plug it right back into this one of these equations here. That one preferably because it's already solved for x. You get x equals 3 times 6 minus 2. So it's 18 minus 2, x equals 16. So those are your answers. And you don't even have to say x and y because it's just saying, give me two numbers. And the answer then is going to be 9 and, 6 and 16. Alright? That was a little more challenging because of the factoring, but it shouldn't have been that big of a deal. Alright, let's take a look at number 2. Okay, find a positive number whose square is 12 greater. So you only have one number because it's talking about a positive number whose square is 12 greater than its number itself. So think about that. A positive number whose square, so that means whose square is 12 greater than the number itself. What's the number? Isn't that number x? And isn't it 12 more than? If it was 12 less than, it would be x minus 12, not 12 minus x. Okay, that one's actually pretty mellow for a setup. And then we just move things over. Subtract x, subtract 12 from both sides. So we get x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. You factor that. That one's easy. It's plus minus. So it's plus 3 minus 4. And so that one's going to be x equals negative 3 and x equals positive 4. If you look at the original problem, find a positive number. So that one's out of here. And you just have x equals 4. So that's it. Find a positive number. That's the answer. 4. Okay. Not too bad. Okay, let's take a look at number 3 now. Find two numbers. So, we got two numbers here. That means we're going to have an x and a y whose sum is 16. Sum means add. Okay, sometimes people say sum means what it equals. Well, it's what it adds up to equal. Okay, product is what it multiplies to equal. It doesn't just mean equal, it means adding, or difference means subtract, product means multiply, quotient means divide. Okay, so we're going to say x plus y is equal to 16, because the sum is that, and whose product? Again, there is multiplication, so it's x times y equals 63. Now, I know some of you are tempted to look, in fact, I can almost probably look at the problem and go, well, what two numbers multiply to give you 63? 9 and 7? So I'm going to say my answer is 9 and 7. And that's right, because isn't 9 plus 7 16, and isn't 9 times 7 63? Okay, I'm done with the problem. But you're actually not going to get any credit for it. You have to show the algebra behind it. Okay, it's really important to do that. Because you're going to get nastier problems, and if you don't know how to do the basics, then you're going to be in trouble with the more complicated problems. So let's just do a substitution here. It's x plus y equals 16. So I'm going to take this equation right here, and I'm going to solve, it doesn't matter, I'm going to solve for y. So if I solve for y, I subtract x from both sides. So you get y equals negative x plus 16. And then I'm going to substitute that y into there. So it's x times negative x plus 16 equals 63. And then I distribute that. That gives me negative x squared plus 16x equals 63. Okay, and then, now this is my recommendation. I pointed to myself, though you couldn't see me. Okay, but my recommendation is you, instead of moving the 63 over because you wind up with a negative x squared, you got to factor out a negative 1. Let's keep that positive. So I'm going to add x squared and subtract 16x from both sides. That gives me x squared minus 16x plus 63 equals 0. All right, so now all I have to do is just factor this baby. I get x and x, and this one's pretty mellow. What's 63? Well, first of all, it's negative, and it's 9 and 7. 9 times 7 is 63. And we solve each one of these. I get x equal to 9, x equals 7. So the deal is, how do you find y? Well, I got two answers. So let's plug in. Get y is equal to negative 9 plus 16. So y equals 7. So when x is 9, y is 7. And if I put a 7 in there, y equals negative 7 plus 16. So y equals positive 9. So when x is 9, y is 7. When x is 7, y is 9. But if you remember what I told you before, it doesn't really matter what x and y are. I don't care. What I do care is, can you give me two numbers who adds, that sum is 16 and multiply or product is 63? Okay, well, you got 7 and 9 and you got 9 and 7. So the answer is 7 and 9. Or 9 and 7. I don't care. Okay? But that's it. That's your answer. Okay, let's take a look at number 4. Now they're a little more difficult. Okay, a rectangle is 2 feet longer than it is wide. So now we're going to actually define a variable. L is equal to length. And W equals width. Okay. All right. So a couple things. First of all, let's start with the first thing. A rectangle is 2 feet longer than it's wide. So it's you have to, obviously we're going to use L and W, and the length is, it's 2 feet. The length is, so just another way to look at this, the length is 2 feet more than it is wide. So that's the equation. Length is 2 more than the width. Pretty easy. The area, you guys need to know area equals length times width. Got to know that for rectangle. Very important. Perimeter, 2L plus 2W. Area, length times width. So there we go. We got L times W is equal to 63. This is just like those other problems we did before, where you just substitute that in. So that L goes right into there. And we have W plus 2 times W equals 63. Pretty easy, just substitution in. And then I'm going to put this W in the front, because again, I like that in the front. So I get W squared plus 2W equals 63. I'm going to subtract 63 from both sides. So we get W squared plus 2W minus 63 equals 0. And then I factor. It's going to be plus and minus. In this case, it's going to turn out to be 9 times 3 is 63, so it's plus 9 minus 7. That'll give you 2W equals 0, so W equals negative 9, W equals 7. Think about it. What can't W be? It's impossible for W to be negative 9, so that's out of there. So the width is 7, and then the length is, just plugging it back into this guy right here. So the length is 7 plus 2. So the length is 9. Okay, now that would give you most of the points. Your final answer, it says find the length and the width. The length equals 9 feet. That's your units. So here it is, guys, units. Don't forget units. Length is 9 feet. Width is equal to 7 feet. And that's your answer. Okay? Pretty mellow. Pretty mellow. Okay, let's do the last one. Okay, this one you have to draw a picture. A picture in its frame. So let's draw this. First of all, I have a picture, or I have a frame. And then I have, so this is my picture inside the frame. So the picture inside its frame, in its frame. So this is 20 by 12. That's the frame. So the picture in its frame. The whole thing measures 20 by 12. The area of just the picture is 84 centimeters squared. Okay, so here's your picture. It's a very nice picture. Okay, it's a picture of me when I have no hair. There we go. I have hair. Okay, so the question is find the width of the frame. So you're given the area of the picture and you're given the dimensions of the frame. I want to find the width of the frame. So this is the deal. I'm going to set that equal to x all the way around. So this is, right, a frame is pretty uniform going all the way around. And what I mean by that is the same length, same thickness all the way around. You really don't have many frames that are different thicknesses. So this is the deal, math fans. I need to figure out, let me use a different color here. I know this rectangle here that the picture's in is 84 square centimeters. So I need to figure out this dimension right here and this dimension here. I need to figure out the length and the width of that and set that and multiply that together to give me 84. All right? So this is the deal. If that whole length is 20, and if I subtract an x from that, and I subtract an x from that, isn't that what this first red piece is right here? So isn't the length 20 minus x minus x? Don't you agree with that? That's that squiggly that I just drew right there. That's 20 minus x minus x minus x. Okay, the width is 12. That whole, like this whole length here is 12. So I have to subtract this x, and that'll give me this part right here. So it's 12 minus x. So this is the length, and that's the width. And that equals 84. Because that's the area of the picture. Right? So this length is the length of the picture, and this is the width of the picture. And this is the area of the picture. So it's 20 minus 2x, just to combine like terms, and 12 minus 2x equals 84. Okay? Well, it's a little bit more now. You have to FOIL it out because you got to set it equal to 0. So you got to FOIL this thing out. 20 times 12, you're going to use your calculator, is 240. Outside, minus 40x. Inside, minus 24x. And last, plus 4x squared equals 84. Right? So I'm going to put it in descending order. I'm going to move everything over. So I get 4x squared minus 64x plus 240 equals 84. Subtract 84 from both sides. So you get 4x squared minus 64x plus 156. Plus 156 equals 0. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is, factor out a 4. If you try to factor 4x squared minus 64x plus 156, you are going to cry because it's going to be so hard. I mean, come on. What are multiples of 156? No idea. Okay, so I'm going to factor out a 4. So you get 4 parentheses x squared minus 16x. Use your calculator. So it's plus 39 equals 0. Oh man, that is so much sweeter to factor. So you get x and x, and it's minus minus. Well, what's 39? 39 is really not many numbers there, but it's going to be, I think, 13 and 3. So, and negative 3 minus 13 is negative 16, so it's good. 3 and 13. So you get x equals 3 and x equals 13. Now I got two answers here. They're both positive. Which one doesn't make sense? Look back at the picture, guys. If this whole length is 20, how can the thickness of the frame be 13? That means this would be 13 and this would be 13. That's 26. It's impossible because that's already bigger than the whole width of the frame. Okay, so it's got to be 3. And that's the answer to this problem. 3, and it's in centimeters, so 3 centimeters. Get your units. Okay? That's the applications. Make sure you when you're doing the homework, make sure you study. Look at this because you need a demonstration in front of you, kind of what I did, especially with this picture frame one. It's kind of tougher. Okay, but they're all pretty much the same, and you'll be successful. All right? That's it, math fans. Have a nice day. Goodbye.